to another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Going no hat sleeveless. It was over 90.
It's hot, man. It is so hot. My freaking balls are stuck to my legs. It's bad.
I really hope there's people in like Phoenix, Vegas, deep in the South where it's like 100 plus laughing at us. But no,
it's
Long
different.
Beach.
Look,
the end
the
of days heat.
Maybe the South, maybe
that moist heat, swamp cooler heat.
That's what we have right now. That humidity is not good.
Well, the good news is we are just 24 days away from Raiders Broncos.
Charles Woodson, Marcus Peters.
It's a big one. It's a big special one.
Yeah, man.
Officially less than a month away. Right in the middle of preseason football.
I feel good.
It's good.
Feel good about it.
It's really nice. Definitely feeling it.
Oh, yeah.
And along those lines, because it's preseason football, the second to last joint practice for the Raiders was today. We're recording this Wednesday night. As you're listening to this or watching this, the final joint practice of the Raiders will be going on the 17th of August, tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this, which is a big deal because we've seen that Josh McDaniels isn't big on starting starters unless it's Josh Jacobs last season. He's trying to send a message, which either worked or didn't, depending on how you look at it.
It looked pretty good to me.
I mean, he played well, right? It's probably the last time our starters will get any sort of semi-live reps, and that'll be in joint practices on Thursday. So the Rams are in town, or we're in town for the Rams up in their Thousand Oaks Training Center. It's got to be 100 degrees up there.
It's tough.
Just brutal. And depending on who you ask, can tell you how it went. So we saw how well the Raiders played against the 49ers in the joint practices, and it was even more dominant in the preseason game. Now, preseason game, you can tell machismo, energy, kind of specific players. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell was the guy who looked the best. Cole Fotheringham also looked fantastic for us. But, it's second stringers versus second stringers, so how much can you really tell? But when it's the joint practices is when you get starters versus starters a little bit. And depending on who you believe can tell you how our defense performed in the joint practices. So Levi Damien, member of my alma mater, both under San Francisco State, so he holds a close place in my heart. That's for USA Today. If the Raiders are to have joint practice session with the Rams that looks anywhere near as good as the ones they had against the 49ers, they're really going to have to pick it up because the first day was considerably disappointing by that standard. Team sessions were lacking on both sides of the ball for the Raiders. Whenever Stafford stepped on the field, he was carving up the Raiders secondary. It was pretty much if you were the Rams. If you were the Rams offense, not so much if you were the Raiders defense. So it's like, okay, we got, maybe came down to earth a little bit. Sean McVay is magic. Matthew Stafford healthy. The Rams isn't the same Super Bowl team that it was, but there's still elements to that. It's like, okay, maybe it was a, coming back down to earth moment for the Raiders a little bit. But then you go to the Athletic and Vic Tafur and Tashawn Reed, and it was a much different story. It seemed like on both sides of the ball, they were saying how the Raiders were looking great. The defensive line, specifically for the Raiders, was doing awesome. Aiden O'Connell had one really ugly pass that was intercepted. Other than that, played pretty well. Jimmy G hit Davante Adams. Yes, Davante Adams is back and playing 100%. We'll get to the injuries in just a second. Hit him deep with a couple ones. So I guess it kind of depends, Soto, on maybe who you believe. Maybe they had different angles. Maybe they're looking at them through different prisms, right? Maybe Levi's a little more pessimistic. Maybe the Athletic guys are a little more optimistic. What do you make of you've read all the reports. What do you make of the differing messages?
Well, I mean, they're talking about different levels of the defense. One guy was talking about the secondary while the other guy was talking about the front, the defensive line. Mm-hmm. It could have, I don't know if it was, I know it was mentioned a little bit that it was 11 on 11s in some of it, but, there's also one-on-one drills. There's just line drills where it's, defensive line versus offensive line. Mm-hmm. So it could be a couple different things, but the main thing is they're talking about two different levels of the defense. So the defensive line could have had a really good day, but maybe the secondary really wasn't holding their end.
We'll go piece by piece. I really like the Athletic when they did kind of a moment by moment. Tafer did the offense and Reed did the defense.
Uh-huh.
So a couple notes. Philip Dorsett, nice day. He caught a 70-yard pass from Jimmy G, which is very nice to hear, considering that's
like
not a
through the air, 70 yards.
He didn't say specifically. We'll see.
Doubt it.
But it was another deep pass, and he kind of pulled up a little bit, had maybe a little bit like a hammy thing. He missed the last 30 minutes of practice. I'm going to keep an eye on. Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow back from injuries. They said they look good. Again, tight end Cole Fotheringham picked up right where he left off Sunday when he caught 5 passes for 71 yards against the Niners. He showed some good hands today. I wonder if he's going to start. Or not start, but make the 53, because Jesper's pretty much ahead of him, right? Like you got Mayer,
Hooper,
Jesper. He either has to beat out Jesper or they're going to carry 4, which is certainly possible. 4 is definitely possible, especially if like your 4th is really good. But I just don't know if they're going to keep 4, because they're probably going to keep a lot of receivers because we've got a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to keep a lot of defensive backs because we don't have a lot of good ones. And they're just going to be like, look, we're just going to have to hope one of these guys gets better as the season goes along. But the Raiders do enough 2 tight end sets where maybe he does keep 4. And again, it's been 2 joint practices and 1 preseason game. But Cole Fotheringham has looked pretty awesome.
He's looked really good, man. And like you said, they like to use a lot of 2 tight end sets. It really depends on how he does and what he's able to do on special teams. Because if he's able to take over one of those spots, one of those running back / linebacker spots, maybe he could have a chance to stick around just for the special teams. And he does have the receiver skills as well.
So on to the defense. This is the most optimistic, or this is, I think, the part that when you're getting differing results from Levi and the Athletic, I think this is the difference, right? I think the DBs, it sounds like the DBs got lit up, but the defensive front did well. Raiders defensive line overwhelmed the Rams offensive line. When was the last time we uttered that sentence? Jeez. Winning the vast majority of one-on-one drills early in practice. Matthew Butler had the rep of the period when bull rushed Rams offensive lineman Grant Miller, knocked him off his feet. Adam Plant came close to a bull rush. Defensive tackles Bilal Nichols, John Jenkins, and Isaac Rochelle also flashed. If our defensive interior can be just average, that is a drastic improvement for our defense overall. Like they don't even have to be good. If they can be an average defensive line, like, hey, really good linemen beat them, bad ones they beat, they can hang with, 80% of the O-line. They can just hang and let our defensive ends get to work. That, I think, is the start. That's the foundation of the defense we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. The thing is it doesn't normally work that way. Usually when you have an average line, it's like you have guys that are either playing well above their capabilities or guys that are maybe slipping on the way down that were once a lot better, right?
Yeah.
I think that we're on the uptick right now because, you have Maxx in fully engulfed in his prime, right? Mm-hmm. You have Malcolm Kuntz, who's said to have, been doing pretty well. You have just a bunch of guys that are like clones of each other. You have 4 guys out there that are, you got Maxx, you have Chandler Jones, you have Plant, and now Tyree Wilson, who are out there who are all 6'5", 6'6", long-armed, quick edge rusher guys. Mm-hmm. And I think with that type of depth, where we're going to see a big difference is later on in games. And because of that, it's going to get hard to stay in the middle. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not like performing to like strive for the middle, right?
Yeah.
It's either like you're slipping because you used to be good, or you're really young and unknown or improving, and you kind of like, oh, you did a little bit better. That's where you get in the middle. I think we're going to be, as far as the defensive line goes, I think we're going to be a much better than that.
Well, when you were atrocious at defensive tackle, being average is a giant improvement. You know what I'm saying? Like that, that is the ascension, getting to average. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't see us being atrocious because we have bad players. I just think
we were atrocious last season.
I think last season we were there because we didn't have the players that we have this year.
And that's my point. Whether it's schematics, whether it's personnel, whether it's this like energy that Maxx Crosby's talking about, whether it's, you know, the ends are just getting so much better and they're all demanding double teams, and now defensive tackles can start getting in there. I'm just saying, if we get average production from the defensive tackles, the entire defense, I think, is going to be exponentially better, right? Like if our linebackers got to average, like that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Like that's that'd be great for us. But I don't think it makes the same total defensive improvement as if our defensive tackles started carrying their weight, which is ironic because they're the fattest guys on the defense. This is the part. So while Levi Damian got into the details, this is all The Athletic wrote about the Raiders secondary. The Raiders secondary got off to a slow start during one-on-one drills. That's it. Like Levi was talking about specific instances where they were getting beat. So it does sound like the defensive line was doing well, but the defensive backs weren't. Which and we'll get into this later, as well as the defense played against the 49ers in the preseason, how much of that was that the Niners quarterback is just a bust now, right? Like, was it really like, all right, our DBs are playing fantastic? I think they played a little bit better. Like, they didn't seem like anyone was wide open. But will the Rams kind of bring us back to earth a little bit in one-on-ones?
Well, I mean, granted, it wasn't the full starting complement of players for the Niners, but it wasn't our starting players either.
Yeah.
And like we talked about many times, your pressure up front helps your secondary, and you have a guy that you can't like take a degree back. Oh yeah, he's a second stringer, but our first stringer is so much better than the normal first stringers. Mm-hmm. Putting him in there is going to be a big difference. So you have that, plus you have the better players in the secondary out there. I think it's going to be a lot of the same, honestly.
So the big story out of these joint practices between the Rams and the Raiders was what it always is: fights. The Rams are always fighting. We got in fights 2 seasons ago in joint practices with Gruden. They got in a bunch of fights, the Rams, last season when they were in joint practices with other teams.
Like Aaron Donald trying to kill somebody with his helmet.
Like it's like Aaron Donald wasn't even practicing today. So it's like there could have been a homicide. That crazy motherfucker was in there. But the Rams are like the little guy in your crew that when he gets drunk, he starts getting feisty.
Fucking violent to fight everybody.
He just starts feeling it, you know? It's like, oh, we're in joint practices. It's like, what doesn't really I'm not really going to get fined. You know, these penalties don't matter. This is my chance to get
I really don't want to practice anyway.
Yeah. It's like when you're at a house party versus at a restaurant, right? Like when you're at a house party, you get a little drunk, cause a little stir. Like you're not going to maybe you'll get kicked out, but they're probably not going to call cops. It's not like they're going to like take your credit card and bounce. It's not like you like paid a cover to get there. This is your opportunity to get feisty. And I feel like that's the Rams. The Rams are the drunk little guys of your crew.
I think so. That's a good analogy.
Thank you. I know a lot of drunk little guys. I'm almost one of them. So the best fight was Maxx Crosby and Cam Akers. So Cam Akers, according to reports, had the ball and was kind of like breaking off. So he was like out of the box, kind of like ending the play a little bit. Maxx Crosby, kind of sensing that the defense needed some energy, a little pissed off that the defense was kind of getting pushed around a little bit, depending on what report you believe, runs up to him and tries to punch the ball out, which is what we're looking for. Excuse me. So that's what we want out of Maxx Crosby. Yeah. Like, all right, when you're that good, you need to make the plays and then some. You know what I mean? Like we need turnovers. Yeah, we need sacks. We need tackles for loss. We need you to punch those balls out. Cam Akers was not having it. Brawl ensued, and Cam Akers got kicked out of practice because he threw a punch, and Maxx Crosby had to kind of like sit out the rest of the drills and just stand on the sideline. I mean, that's Max. Like, if you're Maxx Crosby, if you're on the field and you're an offensive player against Maxx Crosby, you're never safe. Like, never assume that you're like, all right, we're gonna let up here because the play's almost dead. The play's never almost dead if you're Maxx Crosby. The play's dead when the whistle blows, then 1 second later.
Yeah, play through the echo of the whistle.
Mm-hmm.
That's Maxx Crosby for sure. Yeah, man. It's if it was as a heated practice as it sounds, you can't let up. You know, and you can't be mad at somebody trying to, like, you know, make a play through the whistle. I think that's what, you know, Cam Akers just got his feelings hurt, started to get a little pissy, and they sent him to his room.
The post practice interview, the presser with Crosby, said, "Shit, I was doing what I do. He didn't like that, so he got what he got. It is what it is." I'm telling you, man. I tweeted this out like last week. Maxx Crosby trains with UFC fighters, like spars with professional ass kickers. He's slowly morphing from a guy like an NFL player that trains some MMA to an MMA fighter that happens to play football.
Happens to be really good at football.
He really, it's like he's like Conor McGregor if he was 6'3", 240, right? Like, he's becoming more and more fighter every day, and I'm here for it.
Minus the hookers and cocaine.
Let's hope so. Let's definitely hope so. Cam Akers chimed in on it. Look at this photo. Look at this great shot. The Lollipop Guild just trying to take down Maxx Crosby.
There's like, what, 5 guys? And Max is like, what's up?
It's like, I'll take you all. He's at least a helmet taller than everybody. I don't know who this guy is on the left, but he looks like he's my size. I'm 5'9".
Yeah,
that's the dude who's like, hey, yeah, I'm helping. But he's like at least 2 guys away. It's like,
hold me back.
I mean, yeah, exactly. He's the hold me back guy. He's like, I tried to get in. You know what I mean? Like, I got in there. He's the dude who gets really excited seeing a fight. And then once he shows up, you're just like, oh, shit. Like, there's actual violence happening here.
It's really happening.
Let me hit the brakes. Let me hit these high tops. I love this photo.
So sweet.
Max is like, dude, what's harder? 1 Sean Strickland or 5 football players?
Dude, it's like the coach in like like an NJB or like youth basketball league.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's play 1-on-5.
Yeah, it's like if you go to Kevin Durant's basketball camp and you pay like an extra $1,000, you get to play 5-on-1 against him at the end of the camp. That's basically
just draining buckets on you.
God, I would love to see Maxx Crosby versus like 5 defensive backs from the Rams. They're probably receivers and running backs, but you get what I'm saying. Even worse. So Dean Thomas, longtime MMA pioneer, he's on the broadcast, and I host a radio show with him on Sirius. He says, no sport knows how to fight less than basketball players, and number 2 are football players. Because you'd think football players would be able to fight. Because it's a tough sport. It's a collision sport, right? It's like, no, they can't throw a punch for shit. They're used to having helmets, shoulder pads, used to always being the biggest dudes around. They can't fight.
You know who can fight? Figure skaters.
Is there a joke behind this, or is this like a real? I'm waiting for a punchline.
Who was it? It was like Brian Boitano or Elvis Stoico, one of those old school dudes. Mm-hmm. He was getting made fun of by this hockey player. And I guess he didn't know that he was like this like fucking 8th degree like karate black belt, and he just freaking punched him and knocked him out. Okay,
so one figure skater can.
Hey man, it's the only one I know. He knocked out a hockey player.
I know Tanya Harding was like a crazy bitch. She could probably fuck you up.
Oh yeah, she'd take her freaking blade off and stab you with it.
She's seen some action for sure. Like she'd be the first one to like break the beer bottle on the bar and just like shove it in your face, casino style.
This little girl, Frankie? Is that a little girl?
Kind of like a little girl.
movie is that from?
Well, I kind of gave it away.
Hey, come on, man.
I can't ask the question after I say it.
They didn't catch it.
All right. What a gruesome shot too. It's like spurting. They go to that black and that close up black and white.
Yeah, why don't you take that pin and shove it up your ass?
What are they going to do? Muscle Nikki? Nikki was the muscle. Cam Akers chimed in on Twitter. Somebody asked him what it was I got. Anybody with eyes saw what happened.
Dead laughing.
Looks like nothing happened. We just saw the photo. It looked like it was 5-on-1 and Max was holding his own. Did he like punch him in the balls?
It looks like Cam Akers is like really trying to fight, and then like Max is holding him and be like, hey, look at this guy. He's trying to fight me. Look at him.
He's about to give him a noogie. He's like, I'm just kidding. You little rascal.
Yeah, you're getting there.
You're okay. Hey, we'll get some snow cones after. You played hard.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
How can Maxx Crosby? I have him in the highest esteem, and I think he's cooler and cooler every week. God, he's so glad.
It's just the more you know, the more you find out about the guy.
So some quick injury updates. Mostly good news. Davante Adams, we saw him last week kind of come up limping after he bumped into a player in the joint practices with the 49ers. According to Levi Damien, Davante Adams definitely looks 100% working in team sessions with no issues. Just caught a pass on a dig. That was this morning, Wednesday morning. And then I don't think anybody was overly worried, but it's Davante freaking Adams.
Him out there, yeah.
Yeah, so if he has a hangnail, we're going to be following the story daily because it's Davante Adams. But that's good to see. Other ones were the big one, Tyree Wilson, activated off the physical unable to play list. He did not do any of the joint practices. He didn't even do team drills. He only did individual drills, which isn't the most optimal news. But the good news is he's off pup, and so he's in there working. So, and again, we talk about 100 times, like, bring him in slow. We didn't draft him to like be an all-star day one for us and rush through the injury. Like the goal is he's going to be a cornerstone of this defense for the next 10 years. Like, bring him along. I'd hate for him to miss week 1, but if the doctors say like he can really risk aggravating the injury again, don't do it.
Nope.
Individual drills, let him go. And he's learning. Maxx Crosby says he's asked him a million questions, and that's what you want to hear. Bad news, Dylan Parham didn't practice. Remember, it looked like he had a concussion on Sunday, so he didn't play. Chandler Jones, Nate Hobbs, Brittain Brown, McClendon Curtis, and Brandon Facyson also, none of them participated. Rookie tight end Michael Mayer was back, worked back in slowly. And he did do team drills, unlike Wilson. And Hunter Renfrow, we didn't know why he was out. He just was out for a little bit. Could have been. He's not old enough to get the kind of like veteran rest yet. I don't.
He looks old enough. Maybe he just tricked them by his hair. This guy's kind of old. Give him a couple days.
He just pulled up in a minivan in that hairline. They're like, all right, let's give Dad a break.
You know? Him and Kirk Cousins, that Astro van.
Just dad bodding it. Had some Skechers on or something.
Yeah, remember those Skechers fucking plump ups that like to plump up your butt cheeks? Like,
yeah. Howie Long's been pimped. Is Howie Long still do those Skechers commercials?
Yeah, those wide ones. You just slide them in.
Dude, just dadding so hard. It's like Howie Long's a weird one because he's such a badass and he did the cool movies, still got the flat top, the supermodel wife, not supermodel, but super actress wife, right?
He's older though, right?
He's old as hell.
60s.
He's super old. But like, does he still pull off the cool? Right?
Yeah.
Like, but that's my point is like, how are you giving him Skechers dad shoes?
Dude, freaking Snoop Dogg's doing Skechers commercials.
Snoop Dogg does every commercial that's ever been offered to him ever.
That fool is cashing in on everything.
Everything, dude. Like if I was like, hey, Snoop Dogg, I want to do an advertisement for this like coaster that I put my beers on. I'll give you 10 grand. Like done deal. Don't care. He sold out so long ago and just cashed in.
Yeah, he sold out hard, dude.
It's one of those things where like I'm not happy Tupac was taken away from us so early, but the silver lining is that he was gone before he could truly sell out, you know? Otherwise, he'd be selling Dr. Pepper and shit.
It's like that, and like when you look at like bands, like okay, we're from Long Beach, right? So like it's like Sublime. They were the type of band that there's no way they could have made it big because they're just like such supreme fuck ups that they would have just ruined it for themselves. So it's like it's kind of like it sucks that they had to disband like so soon, but you just get a bunch of hits.
Well, it's weird, like it fell apart because of a heroin overdose. And so it's like, okay, that's why they're going down. But they weren't even like on the rough side of tracks part of Long Beach. Like he grew up on the peninsula.
Beaumont Shore. They were like in the freaking nice part.
On the peninsula, like the nice part of Long Beach, like on the water. And still they're just like, all right, life's too tough. Let me chase the dragon.
Yeah, I guess they were like their biggest break before Bradley Knoll died was they got on a Lollapalooza or something like that, and they ended up like Xeroxing all like the backstage passes, so like half of Long Beach was like backstage. And like, dude, everyone's got to get the fuck out. You guys fucked this up for everybody. Everybody gone. Like shit like that, dude. Like, come on, man. Like it's your freaking big tour,
They're still Long Beach to the core. Like they're from the nice part, but they're still LBC as it gets. I don't know. I just feel like Howie Long. He's just like he's still too cool to do Skechers commercials. Like it doesn't make it like it's just too weird. Like, are they trying to cool up Skechers?
I mean, that he wears them if he's doing the commercials. He's 63 and he was a football player, so he needs that comfort.
But he's like a bajillionaire. Like he would not be.
That's why you
can
wear Skechers and don't have to worry about it. Like, what do you give a fuck? I can fucking buy and sell you 10 times.
Yeah, well, you don't see Tom Brady wearing Skechers.
You will.
You will.
You will.
When he's Howie Long's age, he's gonna be wearing.
Listen,
Skechers.
Man, I'm not gonna front. I don't own Skechers, but I've tried some on, and they were ugly as fuck, but they were comfortable as hell.
So the The Rock shoes that are sponsors in the UFC.
Ugh, all ugly.
So when our PA girl, like our backstage kind of organizer girl, was giving them to talent, here John Anik, here just Daniel Cormier, here whoever. I was like, hey, where's mine? Like joking, because I'm just a stage manager. She's like, well, what size are you? I'm like 10.5. She's like, that's perfect. Justin Gaethje wore a pair for a photo shoot. Like, he just put them on, did the photo shoot, took them off, and left. So he was a 10.5. So you can have them if you want, but they're used. I'm like, they were used by Justin Gaethje. I'd pay 10 times as much for them. Give them here. So I wear a pair of Justin Gaethje worn The Rock shoes.
Do they have any size 12s laying around?
I'll ask. Like Alex,
I'm sure not a lot of people wear size 12 in the UFC.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys, right? Middleweights, light heavyweights. There's some big boys.
You'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. Like some of these bigger guys. I'm like, what size shoe do you wear? 11? Like for real?
I just got really wide feet. I'm really only like a 9 in length, but I'm a 10.5 in girth.
That's what you tell them? So you tell them? 10.5 in girth, baby.
It's true. That's why I can only wear the square-toed cowboy boots. Too wide.
Every adult male in my family wears a size 12, no matter how tall they are. They wear a size 12 shoe.
Because you guys are broke, you guys just like share shoes. It's like, I'm actually a 9. Oh, I'm actually a 13.
Seriously, man.
It's like sisters that borrow each other's clothes no matter what size they are.
My cousin, his 2 kids, my brother, my other cousin, shit. All those fuckers wear size 12s.
That's like me and my brothers. We all have the exact same hairline. Like not one of us is like more bald than the other. We're all just like, and I'm 5 years older than my youngest brother. I'm 1 year, 3 year, or 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. And we're all exactly the same. If I can keep up with my youngest brother, I feel like that's a win.
You just got to punk them like, what's up?
Yeah. Or I'm just taller than them so they can't see how low it is. You know what I mean? Maybe I have to.
Are you the tallest one?
Colin and I are about the same. Colin might be like a half-inch taller than me, but I'm definitely taller than Michael.
He's like smaller frame too.
Well, and that's the other thing. I'm definitely so that's why I could always beat up all my brothers at any time. One, I'm the oldest, and 2, I'm naturally bigger.
Yeah, they're thinner than you are.
So it was always easier.
Badass.
I was able to punk on my brothers. Broad shoulders, big balls, wide feet. As we discussed earlier.
This shit.
So let's look back on the Raiders-Niners joint practice real quick, because the last thing we did was an immediate reaction post-show, and we're all jacked up, got some booze in our system. We're all excited about a 34-7, win. And it's optimism season. The preseason's optimism season. You look at your entire team through rose-colored glasses. We have all of the actual season for reality to slap their dick off our foreheads. But right now it's optimism season. That's where we were. We're super jacked, and I think with good reason. Aiden O'Connell was lights out. Defense was playing great. Everything was awesome. The narrative, the national narrative out of that game was obviously about Trey Lance, right? Third overall pick, in the spot. He was, he's getting replaced as starter by Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy. One of the biggest busts in a long time. This is his last gasp. Is he even going to be the backup? Is he even going to be the number 2 quarterback for the Niners this season, right? With Sam Darnold out there. So the national narrative was Trey Lance is terrible. Trey Lance is a bust. That's why the Raiders D looks so good. I went back and rewatched, and I think there is some truth to that narrative. Trey Lance looked really bad.
He didn't look good at all.
He's supposed to be the athletic quarterback. He looked slow. His decision-making was awful.
It was really bad.
It was brutal.
He missed a lot of second window throws that if he would have just had better vision, he hit a couple of them.
We were all stoked on the 4 sacks that we got, 2 in the first drive. At least 2 of those sacks, it was a good play by the end or tackle or whoever on the Raiders. It was a good play, but it was a play that Trey Lance should have got the ball out, should have made a read, didn't. I don't want to take away the joy that we had in watching for the last 2 decades, awful defense show some life and show some spirit and have some energy. And in the end, it might be good. Maybe a little confidence booster is nice, right? Shovel Trey Lance. And Sam Darnold didn't look much better either.
Yeah, he didn't look great either.
Lit things up, right?
He looked better, but not like it wasn't like, oh, wow,
the defense, the offense found new life, right? And it was like, oh, it was all on Trey Lance. And again, I think maybe overall it's a good thing, get a little confidence booster for a young defense coming together, and it's been bad for so long. But I think there's a fair amount of truth to that. Did the Raiders look great or did Trey Lance look terrible? Trey Lance definitely looked terrible, especially on second review.
Yeah, he definitely played pretty bad. But when you also have somebody who maybe is a little bit slower at processing and you're speeding them up because the rush is good, mm-hmm. you're playing a part of that. You're
exacerbating the issue that you want to.
Exactly. You're fanning those flames to make it a little hotter for them. So I wouldn't say necessarily it's all that, but that's generally how we have to play anyway. Mm-hmm. We have to make the quarterbacks uncomfortable with our passers because that's the strength of our defense. And then, we have to have these opportunistic DBs. So the reason why I was able to take something good away from it is because it's how we want to play, mm-hmm. which is pressure up front, linebackers flying to the ball, DBs just flying around, staying sticky, keep your hands in the lanes. Even though it was, backups against backups, you don't normally see backups being taught different things than the starters. They're all being coached the same way. So you can assume that the same thing is going to happen when the starters get in there. It's just maybe a little bit higher talent.
If the 49ers went to the Raiders today, right this second, if they called right now and said, hey, we'll trade you Trey Lance for Aiden O'Connell straight up,
I wouldn't do it.
Now, I know you want to say that right now, right? We're all really high on Aiden O'Connell. We just got done dumping all over Trey Lance. Number 3 overall. Or was it Aiden the last pick of the 4th round?
Look.
4th rounder in the very last pick. So I know it's your instant reaction.
Hang on. He was the number 3 overall pick. This is why I thought about this. Okay. He was the number 3 overall pick. He played almost no college football.
Yeah.
He set out the COVID year. He played 1 year. Okay. And it's like, okay, he's just going to take time to develop. Well, he's had time to develop and he's still making the same mistakes that he made when he was in college. So it's like, how much better is this kid going to get as opposed to you have good raw tools with Aiden O'Connell. If you coach him up, he may not have the potential high ceiling, but he doesn't have that floor that Trey Lance has either. A lot higher floor. And when you have weapons now that you have in the NFL, I mean, look, if Aiden O'Connell would have left Purdue after his junior season, he would have been a lot higher pick, a lot higher.
Think of how crazy that is, though, that a guy got 3rd overall and a team traded 3 first-round picks for, we wouldn't take over the last pick of our 4th round. It's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts.
Man, but the thing is if you're looking at his stats. Okay, his stats were great, but look at the level of competition he was playing against. Number one, and also the amount of competition. Like how often, how much did he play? Where you look at Aiden O'Connell, where he still did really well against far superior competition.
Let me ask you this:
most of the times, the worst team on the field.
Almost always.
Yeah.
Almost always the worst supporting cast. But let me ask you this though. So I'm not making a case for it. I'm making a discussion. Maybe I'm talking myself into it. I don't know. If I made you that offer before Sunday, before that first preseason game, would you have taken it?
We go and it's straight up.
Straight up.
I think I'm the wrong person. I think I'm the wrong person to ask because I watched a lot of tape on Farva. I watched a lot of tape on Farva right after we did the pre-draft show where we named him Farva. I'm like, I want to watch more tape on this guy. And I did, and I'm like, man, this guy, he seems good. I mean, he made it to the Big Ten championship game. What am I missing here? With Purdue. And I'm like, oh man, he looks good, and then I started watching his junior year tape, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy can do it. And the thing, it was the exact same thing. It looked the same. The way he played it was what I always say: the ball's out on time. He knows where to go with the ball. It's accurate. It's the same thing that he played, the same way he played.
We fell in love with Aiden O'Connell for the wrong reasons, but we stayed in love with him for the right reasons. We're just like, oh, sweet, this guy looks like Farva. That'd be awesome. Let's draft him late. We need a developmental quarterback. Fuck it. And then we watch him, and we're just like,
the movie Moonstruck.
Yeah, it's like Aiden O'Connell's like the stripper you fall in love with because you got fake tits and amazing blowjob, and then you stick with her for 6 months and she moves in. You realize she can cook.
She has a heart of gold.
Clean. She's got
she was a whore with a heart of gold, but you end up being a whore with a regular whore's heart. Where's that from?
I don't even know. I gotta look that up.
I'll tell you.
Let me know in the comment section. Tell me off air. But yeah, that's Aiden O'Connell. And I think also it's maybe a time for us to hit the brake pedal a little bit, where it's because it was one preseason game. Trey Lance is coming off of injury. Aiden O'Connell's first time doing anything, and that's how much it swayed public opinion. Where it would have been a no-brainer, right? And also, most of the masses don't know who the fuck Aiden O'Connell is. Like, how many people are watching Purdue on a regular basis? Not many.
Dude,
how many people were like,
you know who was saying a lot of good things about Aiden O'Connell before his last game, before the preseason game, was Dan Patrick, because he's a big Michigan guy, and he's like, man, he put the fear of God in me when we played him in the championship game, because he single-handedly kept them in that game, and he was talking about how this kid, the way that, and I can't impress enough this point, the way he played in college with far inferior talent is the same way he played here. So it's not like he was pressing or he was nervous or the moment was too big for him. He just played his game, and he just had better weapons.
That's all he knows is defensive lineman in his face. Wide receivers that can't get separation. Carrying the team
and duck under and throw the ball away, but you get a penalty. He's
like a really tough youngest brother of 5. He knows all the tricks because he's had to survive his entire childhood with everyone bigger and stronger around him, and just trying to scrap and not die. That's Aiden O'Connell.
If you know where to go with the football, right, and you're accurate, and you get the ball out quickly, you can play a long time in this league.
Yeah,
and you can win a lot of games too if you have the right talent around you. And we just happen to have a lot of good talent on that side of the ball.
So, are you completely writing off Trey Lance? Not that this is a Raiders podcast, but
it's
because if we would have asked that question before,
we should have seen something by now.
If we would have asked that question before Sunday, I think 99.99% of everyone would make that trade. Aiden O'Connell for Trey Lance. Now it's like everyone's like, nope, he's done. Trey Lance is a bust.
Did he even use his athleticism at all? Did he even run at all? Like the extent
I thought
plays at all?
Darnold looked more athletic than he did.
Exactly. And that was his big the lure of him is like, oh, he's athletic.
One preseason game. 2.5 quarters of preseason football.
But that's his time to shine.
Okay.
How much more time is he going to get? Shanahan already said, yeah, Purdy's my number one. Like, that's it. Everyone else is fighting for backup. And he puts that on tape.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know.
I'm not.
Look, what do I say? Production over potential.
Yeah.
He's got potential, but you put it on film and, like, where is it?
More the point I'm trying to make is how like the polar opposites of how big of an impression you can make good or bad in one game. Where you're like, no, the last pick of the 4th round of a no-name quarterback, I'd rather keep him than a guy that a team traded a good franchise. Not like John Gruden made this trade to pick him 3rd overall. Like a good, a solidly run 49ers organization. It was like, no, we're going to trade our future for this dude. And we're like, no, fuck him. We'll take Farva.
He ain't it.
Pretty wild.
I want Farva, baby.
So speaking of him, PFF did their grades of the highest graded offensive rookies in week 1. Look who's on top. Look at that. Look at that mug. Look at that beautiful landfill mug. Aiden O'Connell scored a 92.3. And then Dalton Wagner of the Raiders, random lineman for us, pushing almost 90. That's beautiful to see. Now, you know how I feel about PFF. It's normally for like a second string lineman I'd never heard of, and I just want like a quick look. You know what I mean? I just want to like, hey, I'm not going to spend 45 minutes watching tape on like the Eagles backup safety. Like, that's just another time. That's basically all for me. That's what the value of it is, but it's worth taking a look at. But this is kind of weird. Like Fotheringham scored higher than both these guys, and he didn't make this list, which is so.
He's not a rookie,
isn't he?
No,
he's not.
I told you he was on the team last year.
Oh,
he was in the practice squad last year.
Shows what I know. That explains it.
I fucking told you this last week. You don't listen to me, RJ.
What?
You don't. Fucking asshole.
Fotheringham. God, I hope he makes the team. Yeah, he's 25 years old. Holy shit. He's from San Clemente. He's from our neck of the woods.
Our neck of the woods? That ain't my neck of the woods. That's your neck of the woods. I ain't
Southern California. I grew up 12 miles south of you. Excuse me.
You're in Orange. You're in the curtain. You're behind the curtain.
Fucking ain't right I am. Not anymore. Now I'm on the border. That's how little of an impression you made on me. I didn't even know he was on the practice squad last year. With a name like that, Cole Fotheringham.
He looks kind of like Bodie from Point Break.
There's so many great. You know how like Raiders social media needs like a lot of work. There's so much potential with a guy like that. Have him be like a monocle salesman, making beef Wellingtons for people. Have him in like a tuxedo as like a butler for Jimmy G or something like that. No, Fotheringham. I'll be taking my sherry in the study. It's too great of a name.
We got to keep him around. We got to keep him around.
We got to, just for the name. And I think we'll fall in love with him the same way we did with Farva. Like we fell in love for the wrong reason, but we stayed with them for the right reason.
I mean, he ran good routes. He got separation. He played well. So
played great. Played great for a guy I didn't even know was on our own practice squad. Was he just last season, or we have him for longer than that?
I think it was just last season, if I'm not mistaken.
So the Rams are in practice sessions with us because we play them on Saturday. Saturday, 6 o'clock here on the West Coast in Los Angeles. It'll be at SoFi. What are we looking for, Soto? What do we want to see? What do we expect to see? Are there questions that are going to be answered? Certainly, I doubt we'll see any more starters play than we saw against the Niners. I can't think of a single player that we will see that we didn't last week that would be a starter. Or like potential starter. Maybe a DB or two that's fighting for a start. But what are you looking for at SoFi?
I'm just looking for a lot of the same energy.
Okay.
I'm looking for pressure defensively, and I'm looking for that same recipe. Pressure up front, fly hands on the ball in the secondary. That's what I'm looking for.
Defensively, I want to make sure that it wasn't just Trey Lance being trash, and that's why we look so good. Like your cat that you're pointing at, who's about to lick his nuts. There we go.
There you go.
That's a. Could you tell he was about to lick his nuts with the look in his eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like when a dog starts doing like the little low squat, you know he's going to take a dump.
Yeah.
How did you know your cat was going to lick his balls? He was just walking along your TV, and you immediately knew he was going to lick his balls.
I know his routine. Yeah, see that? He's licking his lips now. He's like, balls taste good.
Delicious. Gotta make sure you get it all. How did you know? He was just walking along your TV stand.
Just the look he had on his face.
You can just tell.
Yeah,
look at his eyes.
It's bath time. It's bath time.
But you knew he was going right to the nuts just by you were.
I knew it.
You weren't even looking back at him. You were looking at your own monitor with a picture of him as you're looking at yourself, and you're like, "Yep, my cat.
He's my boy, man. He's my son. What do you want?"
Then my cat's gonna be on vacation right now.
Can't see that guy. His legs wide open.
You have a better relationship with your cat than I did with any ex-girlfriend. Very intimate. Very, very intimate.
They don't talk back.
I envy it. The things I want to see is to make sure that Trey Lance wasn't the reason our defense looked great, right? I want to see, another scheme, another quarterback. Is it going to be a guy that's going to hold the ball forever, be unathletic? And it's all right. Let's see if it was, what was the catalyst for why our defense only gave up 7 points and played so good? Because the defense did drop a lot of interceptions. Some sacks were just there, like, kind of easy sacks. I want to see differently. And then Aiden O'Connell, less of a question, because with O'Connell, even if he was playing a bad defense, a flat defense, that doesn't affect, like, when there was pressure, he responded well. There was one sack he gave up where he had almost no hope. I don't think Michael Vick was going to get out of that. But other than that, he faced some pressure, was able to do a good throw off his back foot. He was able to elude a couple guys. He was accurate. He threw guys open, all kind of things that are maybe less defense dependent and just like, do you have that skill or do you not? Right. But now it's like, okay, make sure it wasn't a one night wonder. Because again, all we've seen is 3 quarters of Aiden O'Connell. That's it. Right.
Yeah.
If that momentum keeps going.
That sound play can continue. Yeah, for sure.
And also I want to see who they rotated defensive tackle. Because I think that's the biggest question as far as liability on the defense is linebackers. But the biggest question is if they have the potential to get their act together and they can drastically improve our defense, I think that's defensive tackle. And I want to see some fucking turnovers. I want to stop seeing balls bouncing off chests and hands of our DBs. That would be nice, especially when that's like the brunt of what this defense wants to be. Really aggressive, swarming defense that gets turnovers. Yeah, that kind of defense will give up some big plays every now and then. Maybe we'll be out of position here and there. Really creative offensive schemes can beat over aggressive teams. Okay. If that's how our defense loses, I am happy to accept that. But if we lose because balls are bouncing off of our chests and we're not getting these turnovers we're in position for,
that's tough.
That's going to be an issue. That's going to be an issue. So what's our list? Is Aiden O'Connell continuing,
right? His solid play.
Defensive tackle play continuing. Is that pressure rate because of Trey Lance sucks, or is that because of us? And turnovers that are falling in our bread baskets, we're not shitting at.
Yeah, we got to finish those turnovers.
My man.
Those are the big ones.
Ready to do some what up windbags?
Yes, sir.
9 Spartan 40. Looking forward to Soto's gay Spanish episode.
Why is
talking about how you want to do an episode in Spanish for Raider Nation?
That doesn't make any sense. Like, why does it have to be gay?
I was thinking more like if it was gay, it'd be a cat involved. It was kind of a gay minute we just did right there because we watched your male cat lick his ball sack.
I don't know. That one kind of weirded me out. I'm like, why does it have to be gay if it's in Spanish?
I think that's a hint. You need to start your OnlyFans because you got at least one subscriber. 9 Spartan 40.
I mean, I'd be upset if you didn't.
Morton Bartholomew, 7552. The more I saw of Zeus, the more I realized how much we need Josh Jacobs. I think we start McCormick before Zeus?
No.
So I think we were happy more or less with Zeus. I think it looked better in real time than when we went back. 3.3 yards per carry, not great. We know what he is and what he isn't. Trying to be on the outside, little shimmy, little shake, not his game. There's your hole, hit it as best you can. Pretty good.
He also was playing with the second string offensive lineman.
Yeah, but against second string defensive linemen and linebackers. Like, that's kind of a wash, right?
Not necessarily. If you can't block the guy in front of you the way the first string offensive lineman can. It's not like it's a level playing field just because they're second string.
Well, if you're just using broad terms, it does, right? Like, it's.
I mean, but we're not looking at it in broad terms. We have to look at it because look, he had a lot of good runs against the same first team defense. He was doing really well with the first team offensive line and the first team defense. So when you look at that,
last year or when?
No, during the joint practices.
Oh. Yeah.
So, I mean, he either had a lot. They were like 5-yard runs, 9-yard run, or it was like no gain.
Look, me and Soto are not saying get rid of Josh Jacobs. He sucks. We don't want him. Play Zeus. It's never even been remotely close to what we're saying. Is it worth paying 10 times as much for Josh Jacobs over Zeus? That's the question that we're asking. Is it worth that number? Like, if Zeus can get 85 the production of Jacobs, that's a net win for us. That $10 million, that's a Pro Bowler for us. That's a Pro Bowl linebacker. That's a lot of money. That could do a lot of good with a lot of holes on our team, specifically on defense. That's all we've been saying. Like, we're gonna if we trade Josh Jacobs and we get something great and Zeus plays well, we are still going to miss Josh Jacobs. Raider Nation, let's make this abundantly clear. Even if we save $10 million, we get a great trading partner for him. We trade him to the NFC, a team we rarely ever play. We get a great haul. White plays great. Even if all those things happen, best case scenario, we are still going to miss Josh Jacobs. He's that good. He's that good. But you know what's undefeated? Math. Economics. That if we keep Josh Jacobs and pay him $10 million and our linebackers get blown up every single game and people rush over 200 yards on us every game, we're going to think, what if? What if we had picked up a Pro Bowl linebacker or any other position with that kind of money?
I mean, the way it's going now, he needs to hurry up and sign that tag because he's not going to get that money anywhere else. No one's paying that kind of money for running backs.
What did Dalvin Cook just get? Like $6 million?
No, he got 8. I mean, $8? Up to 8.5.
Right, it was like 6 guaranteed, right? Up to 8.
And you look, Dalvin Cook may not have had as good a one single season, but you can't tell me that he hasn't been more consistent.
Yeah. And he's not that much older than Jacobs.
He's only a couple years older. He's like 27 now, maybe?
Dalvin Cook is 28.
Just
turned 28 6 days ago. Just turned 28 less than a week ago. I mean, you don't think there's one team that would pay Jacobs $10 million?
No.
Not one team?
Nope. Not one team wanted to pay Dalvin Cook $10 million.
Yeah. But if we're going to pay him 8.5, you don't think one team will pay Jacobs?
No. Because it's only 1 year. So, what do we say about 1 year contract?
A Super Bowl chaser, maybe? Just kind of goes in on him.
Do Super Bowl chasers have that kind of money laying around?
The ones that sell the future for the now. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's like, just do what the Rams do, right? If you're chasing a Super Bowl, you make the money. You find the money, right? Okay. Boogie's Mulab, 4031. We're talking about county fairs. Fresno County Fair is famous for people getting beat up, shot, or stabbed. LOL. But I fuck with the funnel cakes and horse races.
That's right. That's right, Boogie.
Funnel cakes, the Mexican donut. So
funnel cake and horse races.
I went to the pig races at the county fair last week. Surprisingly fun. But all I can think about whenever I see them is just like, future bacon. There's not one animal that's as intelligent, as adorable, makes as good of a pet. I can't look at them as a companion. I just look at them like, oh my God.
I look at them as food.
That's a delicious pork chop. Like, you're adorable.
Future pork belly.
I had a friend of a friend as a kid who had a pet pig. And I don't live like in a rural area. Like, they kept him in the garage, like let him out in the backyard like a dog. And he did tricks, did all kinds of cool shit. And he was a cool pet.
And he was delicious.
But even as a kid, I was just like, oh my God, that's future bacon. I can't wait. And I'm an animal lover. Like, I don't look at, I could probably fall in love with
stripper.
Do you eat strippers? What would happen if you ate a stripper?
Stop.
Your lips get all big?
Nope.
Perky?
Not going there.
You brought it up.
No.
I don't know. Other animals
that you said fall in love, and I said with a stripper.
Other animals you can fall in love with that you potentially eat. I think I could be like, I can't bring myself. Like a rabbit. You can eat rabbit. I think I'd probably fall in love with a rabbit before
horse
and not eat it. Horse. I heard horse is a great protein, a really, really great meat, but because we're Americans, it's just like stigmatized.
That's what Alistair Overeem said.
In the Arctics, yeah, in like the Netherlands and shit, it's like just regular, like the way we eat cows. Just a good, solid protein. I don't think I can bring myself to like take down a horse and eat it. Pig?
Oh, no problem.
That could be the most, even if it's a filthy animal. There'd be one charming ass pig.
Yeah.
No matter how charming that pig is, I'm eating it.
He'll look good with a freaking apple stuffed in his mouth.
Oh, he's gonna be a little rotisserie. You ever done one of those like 8-hour rotisseries in the backyard?
No.
With a swine?
I bet. Oh man, I've been family. We buried them.
Buried one's good too.
Yeah.
I just like watching it and just like watch, like, oh my God, I can see
the juices just like falling all over each other.
Yeah. Or when it's done, you just go off and you just pick the ear off and eat it. Nom, 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 nom. All right, that's it for us on the Autumn Windbags for this episode. Soto will be solo for the post show on Saturday. There's a UFC pay-per-view, which I will be having to work, but he will have you covered. And also, as we promised, we've been making empty promises for a while now, but 80% of the work is in place. We're going to have brand new ways for you guys to get more involved with the Autumn Windbags. Should we give hints? I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking, nothing earth-shattering, but we're going to have some swag coming up. We're going to have some membership stuff coming up. We're going to have ways for you guys to send in video questions. You can just send us like on your phone, right? Like, we love the What Up Windbags comment sections, live chats. Those are all great. The super chats we appreciate so much. Thank you all who send them. But we want to we want to see the joy in your eyes when you're talking about Maxx Crosby.
No nudity, please.
We want to show us your cats licking their balls for Soto so we can send them to his cats. Little cat ball licking exchange. But yeah, exciting stuff. We want to make sure we had it going before the start of this season and it'll be done. So we got ways for each other to get the Windbags together. And until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.